So have you ever spent tons of time working on your vocabulary, trying to perfect your grammar, but when it comes time to speak, you just don't feel confident? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It turns out many of us are focusing on the words, but we're completely missing the one thing that actually gives those words their power.
Okay, let's get right into it. What if I told you that the real secret to a stronger, more confident voice has nothing to do with memorizing more rules or learning new phrases?
And look, vocabulary and grammar are obviously super important, but they aren't the foundation. The real key is something way more basic, something you're literally doing right now without even thinking about it.
We tend to get hung up on the stuff you see on the left, packing in more vocabulary, fixing our grammar, or trying to perfect an accent. But the true foundation, the engine that powers everything you say, it's your breath. It supports everything else, but it's the one thing we almost always forget about.
So let's talk about this secret weapon. Let's really dig into why your breath is probably the most powerful tool you have for speaking with confidence. I want you to think about it like this. Your words are the car, right? But your breath, that's the engine, the fuel. How you breathe has a direct impact on the quality, the strength, and the flow of your voice. You can have the fanciest car in the world, but without the right fuel, it's not going anywhere.
And that right there brings us to the problem. See, most of us, especially when we feel a little nervous or we're really focused, we switch to the wrong kind of breathing.
We start doing this shallow chest breathing. You're only using a tiny little bit of your lung capacity. And what does that do? Well, it makes your voice sound weak. It makes you speak in these short, choppy bursts because you're always running out of air. It sounds unsteady, unnatural, and you know what? It actually makes you feel even more anxious. It's a vicious cycle.
And this isn't just some theory. Taha, who developed the whole framework we're exploring here, he talks about his own experience with this. He realized his own shallow breathing was holding him back. For him, making that shift was a total game changer for his fluency and vocal strength.
So, if that's the wrong way, what's the right way? Well, it's a technique that professional singers, actors, and public speakers use to totally command a room. It's called diaphragmatic breathing.
And it's way simpler than it sounds. Instead of taking little sips of air into your chest, you take a deep breath that fills your abdomen. This engages a big muscle right below your lungs called the diaphragm. This gives you this huge, stable tank of air that you can then release in a controlled, steady stream to power your voice.
And the results? They're pretty immediate. Your voice gets more power, more authority. You can speak in longer, smoother sentences, so you control the pace instead of feeling rushed. And the best part? Your speech just sounds and feels so much more natural and relaxed.
All right, theory's great, but you want to try it, right? Let's do it. We're going to walk through a really simple guide to help you find your diaphragm and actually put it to work.
First things first, just lie down on the floor or your bed somewhere flat and just relax. Your body actually defaults to this kind of breathing when you're lying down. Now take a deep breath in. You should feel your stomach rising, not your chest. Go ahead and put a hand on your belly, just below your belly button, so you can really feel that movement. Just practice that a few times. Breathe in slowly. Feel your stomach expand, and then let the breath out slowly.
Okay, now let's connect that breath to your actual voice. Take a deep belly breath in, and as you exhale, just say your name and what you do for a living. Feel that steady flow of air? Next, grab a book or an article and try reading a paragraph out loud using that same breath. Once that feels comfortable, stand up and try it all again. Because that's how we speak in the real world, right? The trick here is just making this a little daily routine.
Because this isn't just a quick fix or a trick. Mastering your breath is the absolute first step and a much bigger framework for finding your truly natural, confident voice.
In fact, this is the very first B for breath in what's called the BPBP model, which Taha developed to help speakers sound more natural. Your breath is the foundation that everything else, like placement, blending, and pitch, is built right on top of.
And you have to remember, the end goal here is for this to become completely automatic. With a little bit of consistent practice, you won't even have to think about it anymore. Diaphragmatic breathing will just be your new, natural way of speaking. And that is what unlocks a level of vocal confidence you might not have even known you had. So the next time you get ready to speak, just ask yourself this one question. You've done all the hard work to find the right words, but now, is your breath ready to give them the power they truly deserve?